Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. And today I'm gonna do another wrap-up video. So this time we are talking about the month of May 2025 and what a month it has been. I have quite a lot of updates actually this time. There's a lot to talk about and I want to try to get this under 20 minutes. So let's not waste time and jump into it. If you're new here, this is the video where I talk about all the books I read, the things I wrote, and some personal life tidbits. And I have a lot in every single category, so starting with the books I read. The month of May was a time for advanced reader copies. I got through quite a few arcs in the past month, and I also read a couple finished copies. So out of the books that I physically own, I read Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller. This is a dark, erotic novel. It's a dark romance. It is a mafia book. It follows kind of the tropes of Hades and Persephone, sometimes a little bit too on the head for me. This is like real life characters in the mafia. But, you know, it's a very interesting book. You follow this one girl who is really young still. I think she's only like 19 or 20. And she's with kind of like crushing on this older man who's 32. He's a doctor, but he also like does work for the mafia. And the girl is kind of like a mafia princess, like her dad was in the business. And you kind of follow this like somewhat toxic relationship where she's trying to get back at her family by agreeing to this marriage of convenience for Cal, but Cal is kind of taking her hostage by marrying her. It's a whole thing. He is a very abusive man. So I will say, going into this, I had no idea what I was expecting. I've never read a mafia book and I've never read this kind of brand of dark romance. So it was quite a lot, and a lot of people in my book club did say that some of the triggers they weren't expecting. So just so you are aware, there is a lot of non-consensual scenes. There is knife play. There's a lot of like name calling, like just abuse and body. I don't want to say body horror because it's not a horror, but it's kind of horrific at times. I don't know. There's a lot in this book. It's not going to be for everybody. I didn't hate this. It's not like my favorite book of all time. I honestly think I'm going to end up getting rid of this. Like, I don't think I will ever revisit it. I don't care about rereading any of it or continuing in the series, but it was a time to be had, that's for sure. I just don't think I'm gonna do some mafia. The only thing I think that drew me to this was like the Hades and Persephone vibes. I do like at the end, it does talk more about trauma and the effects of trauma and how people who are traumatized who don't work through their trauma can hurt other people. That did come, but it was pretty much the last little like section of the book. So I just would say, please read the warnings. If you want to go into this, there's an audience for it. It's pretty popular. I found out it's like a TikTok darling, but it's not going to be for everybody. So yeah, that was the only physical book that I kind of finished. Then I also read two other completed books and I listened to them both. The first one was The Unmothers by Leslie J. Anderson, and I gave this a 5-star. It might be more like a 4.5 or 4.75, but I did enjoy it. It's a horror novel that follows a woman who is recently dealing with the death of her husband, and she's a journalist, but they kind of know she's not in it because she's still grieving. So they kind of send her to this little town where this teenage boy claims that he saw a horse give birth to a human child and he's raising that child as his own. So she kind of knows that it's probably a bonk story and the kid's lying, but they send her off as kind of a way to have her be busy while she's grieving because they're not going to run the story. Like, she knows that, everybody knows that, but she goes to this town anyway. And as she gets there, a lot of weird folk horror stuff happens. And she kind of uncovers that maybe there's more actually going on beneath the surface of this town because people are dying and horses are dying and there's really weird ritualistic things seemingly going on in the woods. And I had just had a good time. It was great commentary on pregnancy and grief and just I loved it. Like, it was good. And if you like folk horror, then I definitely think this is a good one for you. Then I also finished Diet, Drugs, and Dopamine, The New Science of Achieving a Healthy Weight by David A. Kessler, who is a medical doctor. I was actually supposed to be getting a finished copy of this from the publisher, and then it never came. It said between like 4 and 8 weeks, so I don't know if it got lost or it's just going to show up on the very last day. But I got impatient because I kind of really did want to read it. So I got the audio from the library and I listened to it, and it was definitely a very interesting book. This is one of those books where I think it's going to be polarizing. You're going to have people who are like firmly for it and firmly against it, because anything in science and people's opinions on weight and like how new weight loss drugs are affecting people and the science behind it, I think is going to be kind of controversial. But I thought it was very interesting. There were definitely some points where I could be like, oh yeah, that's a good point, that's fascinating, or like I agree with it. And then there's sometimes I was like, well, maybe a little bit more skeptical, but overall, like I did feel like I gained something out of it. And I know that the author definitely has a stance on the matter, but I thought he did well trying to play all angles and be objective at times. So I don't know, it was a fascinating read. If my copy ever actually comes, then I'll post about it on Instagram probably. But for now, it was just, I'm going to talk about it here and we're going to move on. All right, and then we get into the arcs that I finished. So the first book I finished was Backhanded Compliments by Katie Chandler. Katie is an author tuber. I believe her channel is Katie Ann Writes. So this is her debut from Atria Books, and I believe she got a pretty significant deal with it. And I think there's like, I don't know if she had multiple book deal or if it was like the first book and the option for the second, because I think she's writing a sequel kind of set in the same universe. But long story short, this is a sapphic novel that follows two tennis players, and they are kind of known as rivals on the court because they are two of the best players around. There's Luca, who's the Croatian tennis player, and then there is Juliet from Italy. And Juliet is kind of known as the hothead, while Luca is like number one in her ranking. She's on top of her game, and she's kind of known as being cool and collected. And this is a rivals to lovers story that has a very heavy emphasis on the tennis. I did like this book, but it wasn't my favorite, and I think it was mostly because like I don't know a single thing about tennis. Like I really really don't know a thing about tennis. And I watched Challengers once and I was like so into that movie, but like you didn't need to know all the technical stuff about tennis. Like you just watched it and you could get with it, Katie obviously has a love for tennis, and that's amazing, and it comes through, but she's so technical on the tennis terms that I felt lost sometimes. Like the tennis matches felt like I was listening to someone commentate on like their techniques, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't even know what this means. I don't know what a match is versus a set versus a game. Still don't. I didn't look it up. I just kind of kept going with it. So I do think that hindered my reading experience, and I do think the book was slow paced. I think it could have been cut down a little bit. It felt very long to me. Like I think it was over 400 pages on the ARC on like my e-reader, and I feel like if it was around like the 3 to 325 mark, I would have enjoyed it much more because the pacing just felt like things were dragging on a little bit too long. But I like her writing. I like the vibes, and her spicy scenes were really good, in my opinion. I don't read a ton of spicy books, so like take that with a grain of salt. I'm sure other people would be like, these are cookie cutter, or this is the same as everybody, but I thought they were good. So I would definitely read something else that she writes, but I don't think I'm going to continue in the tennis world because I just felt so lost in it. But if she writes a different sport, then I will give it a go. Next, I completed Meat Eaters by Meredith McLaren, and this is a graphic novel. This novel follows a younger girl who is in college, and you start the graphic novel with her waking up in the woods, and she kind of has a craving for like blood and organs, and you don't really know what's going on. And you kind of slowly come through her memories throughout the book. And because it's a graphic novel, it's super short. But the premise is that the main character, Ashley, is dying or dead, and she is trying to navigate her trauma and grief while also possibly making friends and handling all the responsibilities of life still. The trauma focus is pretty much the prominent point of it, and I think it is well done. It is not super gory or graphic, given that it's a graphic novel and there's like the pictures, but there could definitely be some scenes that like the implications are there and it could be disturbing to some people. So again, trigger warnings for that. But I thought the commentary on trauma and how like your life kind of ends when a traumatic event happens was very well done, and I would definitely read this again. It doesn't come out until July, but I do think that it's worth picking up. And this was like the first graphic novel I've read, actually. I was just looking for something quick to read, and it was on NetGalley, and I was like, oh, I like that cover. It looks really cool. So like I got it and I read it while I was in the car driving with my husband, and it was good. I definitely enjoyed it. So would recommend that one. It comes out in July for anybody interested. And then the last book that I read, which was another arc, was There's a Badge for That by Relly Mooring. This is Relly's debut. They are also an author tuber, and they've had their channel for quite a while. And if you're interested, you could definitely follow their journey. I was not a big fan of this book. I definitely respect Relly and the themes that they tackled in it, and I think it was ambitious, and sometimes ambitious can be hard to nail on your first book because there's a lot of themes of self-harm and suicide and grief and friendship and found family, and it's sometimes really hard to weave all that in. The main thing for me that I struggled with is that I felt like this was more like somebody writing down their diary entries and like telling us what happened, and I never really felt like I was experiencing it with the characters, because there were some really intense scenes in here that felt very glossed over, and I just wanted some moments to really sit and understand how this impacted them. I felt like things happened way too quickly, and I never really got attached to the characters because of it. Like the first chapter, we are getting somebody who attempts suicide, and in theory, that's like, it's super heavy, and it would be something that I feel like you want to build up to rather than having it off. So it was just a lot of the pacing issues for me that I felt like I didn't connect with the characters, and there was a little bit of description issues. Like I just didn't feel like there was enough description throughout the book. But I do think like Relly has a lot of heart in this book, and they obviously have a lot of like strong connections to camp and their experiences and why they wanted to write this book. So I respect that so much, and I would love to see what else Relly comes up with. This book might not have been for me, but it could definitely be for you, and if you're interested, it is out now. So now that those are all the books that I read in the month, I am going to move right along into the writing. So my month of May was actually very rewarding for writing. I have been continuing to edit my vampire project, and that is in its third draft. I have been getting some critique partner feedback throughout the month, and that has been really rewarding, and I can definitely see where I can bulk up this story. I would say it's not necessarily completely underwritten, but it's underwritten in that I definitely have like 20,000 words I can add to it. Like right now, the book as of my second draft was only 70,000, and I was kind of happy doing that because I'd love to see where my critique partners think I should be adding more in. And there's a lot of good spots so far that I'm like, oh yeah, this could be easy words here, and like just bulking this up. So I'm almost done with that. Like I got through the hardest parts, I think, in the month of May, and I'm really excited. So I'm gonna actually have a decent amount of content coming out about my journey to currying and my to-do list and just things like that. Like I'm gonna have a lot of decent vlogs, I think, coming up. So if you're interested in that stuff, then that's gonna be happening sooner than later, which is pretty wild. But yeah, I'm doing really well with Vampire, and I have just fallen in love with the story again. I love this story. This is my heart story. Other than that, I also got news of a rejection. It is an official rejection now. If you guys watched my last vlog, then you knew I was an alternate for the Once Upon a Book Club writing contest, which is where people get chosen and they are picked to write a short story for the Once Upon a Book Club's Advent calendar book box in the month of December. I was not chosen, but I was asked to be an alternate. As of yesterday, the day that I'm filming this, as of yesterday, they did finalize the people. So I do not think I will be writing it unless something comes up in the next month or two and somebody drops out, but they did announce the finalists of who's going to be writing for the book box. So I'm okay with that. I think that was just a really promising sign that my writing has improved. This year I made it the farthest I've been, and that was it was a good confidence boost. So I am excited to continue writing and just seeing where we get to. Even though I didn't get to it this year, there's always next year and the year after that. I only currently have one outstanding submission left now, and it's some poems that are out in the world. And actually, no, I lied. I have another one too. I have some poems out in the world, and I also have a submission to, I think it's Apex and Abyss, or Abyss and Apex. Now I can't remember the order, but I have a short story submitted to them too, and I haven't heard anything from either of the two submissions, which I submitted like a while ago, like December and February, I think, respectively. So I have those out, but I might be writing some more short stories soon and submitting. So we'll see. I saw a couple calls for submissions that I'm interested in. So that's been my writing though. And yeah, I'm just enjoying my time. And last but not least, I do have some personal updates to share with you guys. So as I said, I kind of really took like some time off in May of YouTube stuff because I have just been busy. The beginning of May, I was prepping to go to a trip to Savannah, Georgia. It was my friend's bachelorette weekend. I have been saving money to be able to go, and it was just a great time. So I'm gonna put up some pictures while I talk. But we had like just the most amazing food. I tried my best. So I was the one that planned it all. And I tried my best to find like good restaurants, maybe things that offered something different or just felt like it was a nice like outing for us. And you know, it rained all weekend, but like walking around, it was so lovely because it was warm down there. So nobody really cared about the weather. It was just so much fun. We did a little bar hopping one night. We went on a ghost tour, which was awesome. And most importantly, the bride is the most important thing, but for me and this channel, I got to meet my writing bestie, Autumn Ashley. It was so surreal. We just clicked like we do on the phone and through text and through Discord and YouTube. It just felt like we've met each other many times before. It felt like, you know, our friendship was like meant to be. Like we found each other and we're just the best. It was just so nice. And she's so lovely in person as she is online. So that was a real highlight of my month, was meeting her in person and just getting to have a great vacation in Savannah. The rest of the month too, like I've been doing a lot of walks when it is nice out. I've taken some bike rides. I have been planning my summer bucket list, and it was just a really good month. The only downfall was it rained quite a bit and it got really cold again, and that was kind of a bummer. I wanted to be outside more, and especially like when we went to Savannah, I was really hoping that like it wouldn't rain. And while I didn't mind it, it sucked because like we left Pennsylvania and it was raining. It rained all in Savannah, and then for like another 2 weeks it rained in Pennsylvania afterwards. So like the sun is only just coming out at the end of the month, and that was annoying. But because of that, we watched some movies. Me and my husband saw the movie Sinners as well as Friendship in the theaters. Sinners was amazing. 10/10. I loved it. I want to go see it again, or at least like get the DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, when it comes out and rewatch it, because it was just really good. It was really good writing. The undertones. I've been watching video essays. Like, I'm just loving the content. It was just such a good movie, and I absolutely like adored it. Friendship, on the other hand, my husband enjoyed it because he likes the actor in it. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not really my humor. And there was a couple funny scenes, but like most of the time I was just I cringed a lot. It was very awkward and uncomfortable. I had a lot of secondhand embarrassment, and I just really, I don't get it. I don't get the point of it. It was not a great time for me. So I will not be watching that one. But if you like kind of weird, obnoxious humor, then maybe this would be your movie. Otherwise, while I was on the plane, I finally watched Night Bitch on Hulu. And I really like that. It was changed from the book. Like there was definitely things and the like certain scenes, especially towards the end, that were completely redone from the book. But the core thoughts about like losing your identity after having a child came through, and I think that was really well done, and Amy Adams is like spectacular. So I actually really liked it, and if you haven't seen or read Night Bitch, then you probably should. It's great. Our TV time has been a little bit all over the place in the month too. While we still have not finished The Last of Us, we have been slowly working through it, the season 2 on HBO, and we really got to finish because now I'm starting to see spoilers. I also started the Murderbot on Apple TV, and I'm really loving that one. I love Alexander Skarsgård, and I find him so funny in this role. And I don't know anything about that book series either, but I am liking the show so far. We did finish The Studio on Apple TV. which was pretty good. And I've also been slowly working through Pop Culture Jeopardy. We just have the finals now, I think, and then we're done with Pop Culture Jeopardy. But we'd like to do that when it's like we have stuff going on and we only have like 20 minutes to watch something. We'll throw that on. And it's really lovely because we don't have cable anymore, so we can't watch real Jeopardy, which is probably the only thing I'm sad about. I loved watching Jeopardy every night. That was my favorite thing. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, it's been very busy, but I definitely think I'm kind of caught you guys up and why I have not been able to vlog much. I kind of considered maybe vlogging during Savannah, but I really just wanted to enjoy my time and unplug, and I did. Like I almost didn't take any pictures either, so I could have had more personal updates, but I just kind of like lived in the moment, which was not a bad choice for me. I also celebrated my nephew's baptism, and I went to a lunar fair, which is kind of like a night market. It was like very witchy and oddities, and they had like performers, like drag shows and a fire dancer and a lot of just cool things. I went with my one friend and we took a little road trip because it was in New Jersey, so it was like an hour and a half drive. I did buy some cool things, and I will put some pictures here too of like my little monster mug that I got. And I got a little butterfly, so like a preserved butterfly with the tarot card that I hung up in my witchy room. And we had a good time, but it was very overwhelming. We ended up tapping out. Like there were like far too many vendors. We could not get through them. I was having like buyers like fatigue because there was just too much to look at. And then we ate and we watched a bit of the drag show, but then like there was no schedule posted online because they wanted to be mysterious. Like they wanted to be like a night market, like, ooh, who's gonna be here? Here's a little preview, but we're not actually gonna tell you anything. So like we didn't know that there was gonna be all these performers and what time they were until we got there, and we had already missed some, and it went till 10 o'clock at night. And by that point we were like, no, I want to be home by 10 o'clock at night. So we left at 8:30 and drove home, and I got home by 10:30 after dropping my friend off, but that was enough for me. It was really fun, but I don't think I'm gonna do it again, at least not anytime soon, because it is such a drive, and because it's from 5 to 10, like I just don't want to drive that late. I want to be in bed. But yeah, that was my month. So I am done talking. That was a lot to take in. But I would love to know how your May went and what life updates do you guys have? Anything fun happen? If you got nothing to say, then I would love it if you would leave me a little squirrel emoji. Leave me that down below. And yeah, that's it. So until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.